Well, you mentioned the Prime Minister, and it's not often we get to talk to someone like you who's had so much experience in number 10 and number 11. Look, what's your view on what's being said at the moment, and the questions over the integrity in Downing Street?
Well, as you know, I prefer to talk about access to the digital services, and I would like to say something about what's happening in India, because something could be done about that immediately. But yes, look, it's pretty clear to me that three things have got to happen. If you're going to have proper standards in public life, you need a register of gifts. So any gifts the Prime Minister receives got to be registered, got to be made public, and so nobody is beholden to anybody else. And gifts are all declared, and clearly there were gifts involved in the refurbishment of this flat. The second thing is you need a register of conflicts of interest. It's clear that there are Downing Street officials who were in the private sector doing other jobs while at the same time being public officials supposedly serving full-time in the public sector. That can't continue. You need a register of what's gone wrong, and you need to say, look, you're either working for the government and the public interest, or you're working for a private company. You can't do both here. And I think the third thing you've got to really be careful about is obviously people reporting their lobbying activities. I mean, if the Prime Minister is lobbied for a commercial interest, he's got to report it. And so there should be a register of lobbying that makes it absolutely clear who was talking to whom about certain things, including over the telephone, because we cannot have this impression growing that some people have got access to government and other people don't. It just seems completely unfair. There are millions of people around this country at the moment who want to say something about something that's wrong they want sorted out by the Prime Minister. They don't get this access, but some privileged people do. One law for an elite, one law for the rest. It's simply not fair.
But I mean, during your time in number 10 and in number 11, I mean, there must have been people that you were having contact with, people who had access to you because they were running a huge corporation or whatever it may be. I mean, they end up, because of that, having a louder voice, don't they?
Well, you meet people, but then you report that you've met them. What seems to be happening here is that there's private conversations going on the internet or going on in telephones, and they're not properly reported. You need to register all this. In the public interest, everything has got to be seen to be above board, and no Prime Minister, no Minister should be seen to be beholden to someone who gives him money for this or for that, or who's got special access for one reason or another. That's all got to be above board. Otherwise, people will lose faith and lose trust in the way the political systems work. And I fear that scandal is going to follow this government as long as it is in power, unless it does something to clean up its act.
Look, in your opinion, and it's great to talk to you now that you're away from all the big offices of state, because you can be, well, look, you can be a bit more frank, can't you? You can be a bit more straightforward about this with comments that are attributed to the Prime Minister around the pandemic and let the bodies pile high, let it rip. I mean, it's denied that it is said, but when you're in number 10, when you're in a meeting behind closed doors, presumably, as Prime Minister, you are much more frank about what's going on. You would say things, would you, that you wouldn't expect to be repeated anywhere else?
Yeah, but this is a matter of public policy. I mean, I think what people are really asking, was that really the Prime Minister's view, and was he slow in undertaking a lockdown because that was what he felt? So I think he's got to clarify it. This is not just your private comments about an individual or about some event that has happened. This is about public policy, and I think you've got to be honest and open with the government. If that was your view, let's hear that was your view, and then you change your view. But I think there's got to be some honesty when it comes to the saving of lives. Look, this morning, there are 1 million cases of COVID being reported every day now. There's 100,000 people dying a week. In India, 400,000 people, they suspect, have died. And it's 15 months into this pandemic, and surely we can get the equipment, the oxygen, the vaccinations to all the people in the world, because nobody is safe until everyone's safe. And these are the issues that I think the Prime Minister should be directing his attention to today.
OK, well, just in 30 seconds, because we're almost off air, because you've pointed that out, and it is important, as you say, do you think these other issues are, at the moment at least, a distraction?
I think what we've got to talk about is saving lives, but we've got to have good standards of government as well. And I'm interested in this morning in getting an agreement between all the countries that can make sure that everybody is safe, because we do something about the spread of the disease, the mutation of it coming out of India and
Forgive me for
Africa.
butting in, but what should Sir Keir be focusing on then?
Oh, Sir Keir will focus on, I think, getting to the truth of what's been happening, because we need to know what the truth is.
OK, Gordon Brown, really good to talk to you this morning. Thank you very much indeed.